The X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X Zone Radio Show or endorsed in any manner by Rob McConnell, Relmar McConnell Media Company, the X Zone Broadcast Network, its affiliated networks, stations, employees, or advertisers.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome to the X Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell, and for the next 4 hours, I'm your host and your guide as together we cross the time-space continuum to this place that I call the X Zone. It's a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. It's a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. And the X Zone comes to you Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. Eastern until 2 a.m. Eastern on the Talkstar Radio Network, UK High Definition Radio, Euro High Definition Radio, X Zone Radio TV, X Zone Broadcast Network, Star Cable, and starting next month on NNTV. If you'd like to give us a call toll-free worldwide, 1-800-610-7035. Email xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. On MSN Messenger, xzoneradiotv@hotmail.com. And our website, www.xzoneradiotv.com. Exonation, today outer appearances appear daunting. The global economy is still in critical condition. Natural disasters occur with regularity. Environmental damage is so severe it may be irreversible within 10 to 15 years. And the poor are more desperate than ever. But British author Benjamin Creme says a new and better time is just beginning. As in the age past when humanity had reached a point of crisis, a great teacher has come to bring wisdom needed to help us solve our problems and evolve to a higher level of consciousness. According to my guest this hour, Benjamin Creme, the teacher for this age is Maitreya, and he began his open public work in December 2009 with the first of several interviews on major American television network. Working closely with him on our behalf are his group, the Masters of Wisdom, and Space Brothers from planets in our solar system. Joining me now all the way from the United Kingdom is Benjamin Creme. Benjamin, welcome to the X Zone.
Thank you very much.
Tell me, Benjamin, who is Maitreya as described as the world teacher? And what is the evidence that he is in the world today?
Maitreya is the head and leader of a group of, from our point of view, perfected men known as the Masters of Wisdom and the Lords of Compassion. And they have been, for the most part, living in the mountain and desert areas of the world for thousands and thousands of years. Places like the Himalayas, the Andes, the Rockies, the Cascades, the Carpathians, the Urals, the Gobi Desert, and various other deserts. And from there, they have beneficently overseen the evolution of the earth. They are the guides and teachers about evolution, steering us away from disasters when they are threatened and coming into our midst when possible, but for the first time in really thousands of years, they are beginning to come into the everyday world, living among us, known to humanity eventually for what they are and what their mission is and their raison d'etre in being here in the world.
All right, Mr. Creme, please stand by. You and I have to take our first commercial break, Benjamin. We'll be back on the other side in a couple of minutes. Exonation, my very special guest this first hour of tonight's show is Benjamin Creme. His website is www.share-international.org. That's www.share-international.org. My name is Rob McConnell, and this is the X Zone, a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break with Benjamin Creme as we continue from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't forget next month, well, not next month really, in November we're going to be going back to Niagara where we started this show 20 years ago. We're going to be joining the Niagara Now TV network, NNTV, and we'll be broadcasting live from there Monday through Friday. Don't go away. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
Take a step back in time and discover old Florida cuisine at Marsh Landing Restaurant in Fellsmere. Enjoy delicacies such as frog legs, gator tail, catfish, and swamp cabbage, or enjoy the more traditional cuisine like hand-cut Angus steaks, ribs, and seafood. Join us for breakfast with a southern flair featuring sweet potato pancakes, biscuits and gravy, and much more. Planning a party? Marsh Landing's private dining room can accommodate groups from 8 to 80 people. While you're visiting, enjoy the historic pictures, artifacts, and stories that line the walls. Marsh Landing is truly a unique experience. Marsh Landing Restaurant, 44 North Broadway in historic Fellsmere, or visit marshlandingrestaurant.com. Marsh Landing, old Florida cuisine at its best. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X Zone radio show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X Zone broadcast network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
We all desire health, happiness, and fulfillment, but often get in our own way. Repeated patterns that leave us out of control can keep us feeling powerless, frustrated, and unable to move forward in spite of our best efforts. Unconscious patterning disconnects us from our gifts, often destroying the very thing we seek. But there is an answer. We can take charge of our destiny and heal the trauma of our history. Shamanism is an effective ancient modality that can reconnect us with our true selves, empower the creation of our dreams, and return us to health and balance. Cody Alexander is a certified shamanic practitioner and teacher with 11 years' experience. Email healingpathways33@gmail.com or visit codyalexander.net to schedule a long-distance shamanic session today.
Exonation, welcome back. Benjamin Creme is our very special guest this hour. www.share-international.org. Benjamin, what does Maitreya see as the world's most pressing problems at these times?
Well, individually, for humanity, the starving of millions of people in the world, the poor and the hungry. He says, nothing so moves me to grief as this shame, when he sees millions of people with nothing to eat, or little or nothing to eat, with their children dying before their eyes, and the world is stacked with goods which is locked away in the storehouses of the developed world, while in Africa and parts of India and South America, people are starving. That is the number one priority, to save these millions who die unnecessarily for want of the food which is in abundance in the world. The next and most important thing is the making of peace in the world. He says, if we have no peace, there's no future for humanity, because if we make a little war, it could become a big war, a major war. And if it were a major war, it would be a nuclear war. And he says now humanity has resources, nuclear resources in the world, which could destroy all life, human and subhuman alike. So that really we have no alternative but to find a way to peace. And he says it's so simple, so really so simple, but it needs a change of heart on the part of humanity. And he says, how can you get peace? He says, number one thing to have peace is to create justice in the world. And how do you get justice? He says, justice will come when people have trust. He says, how do you get trust? He says, trust is the simple response of all peoples everywhere to justice in the world. Present the world, the justice, the possible justice to the world, and that creates the trust to make justice a reality. He says the only way to do that is to share the resources of the world more equitably. And when you do that, he says, you not only make peace assured, but you take the first step into your own divinity. He says, we are all of us divine. We don't know we are divine. Mm-hmm. The masters are divine, and they know they are divine, and they act like divine beings and demonstrate the qualities of what we think of divine qualities. And he says, that is the same. This is your heritage. We are no different from you. We have just gone ahead of you in evolution, and you are evolving to the same point, exactly the same point as we are. And even as we see it, it is not the end of the journey, because we see stretching ahead of us vistas of being, of knowledge, which you can't even imagine to exist today, but which do exist, and is the future for humanity. And if we do not destroy ourselves, he says, the future of humanity is golden, blissful, full of joy, full of creativity, full of divinity, which is the only thing, he says, which exists in the world. We live in a divine universe, a spiritual universe, and that divinity is in every single human being anywhere in cosmos, and not alone on this planet, but in all planets, of all the stars, of all the solar systems which exist in cosmos.
You mentioned the food crisis and how it makes the Maitreya sad to see people going hungry. I agree 100% that this is a crime against humanity.
Absolutely.
And you know, for the rest of the world just to sit back on our laurels and do nothing about it, it's heartbreaking. It's truly heartbreaking. Not only are there people hungry and going without in Africa or India, but even in the major centers in the United States, Canada, as I'm sure in the United Kingdom as well. We don't take care of our own.
Exactly. That is it. We are greedy. We are selfish. But of all, more than even that, he says, the worst sin of all, the sin from which all other sins come, is that we are complacent. It is complacency. He says people think of money being the root of all evil. He says, no, it's not. Money is just an energy. It can be used wisely and well, or it can be used badly, as we usually use it, and do no good at all, do harm, in fact. But really, the true sin is complacency, which is the sense that we see ourselves as being separate. He says, in life, in the world, in the whole of cosmos, there is no separation whatsoever. Every tiny particle of us is related to every tiny particle of the universe itself. And nothing, there is no separation, there is no cleavage, there is one unity which we see only a fragment of and experience ourselves as only a fragment of. In fact, every atom of our bodies, of our makeup, is part of one great cosmic existence, to which we give many different names, one of them being God. And that, he says, is the reality.
You know,
when we see this, then the complacency will go.
When I was a child in grade school, I remember I used to love and lay and look at the stars. And then one night I had an epiphany. I was looking at the stars, and I was into astronomy back in my youth. And I looked at the solar system, and that very day in school, we had been learning about atoms and molecules. And I looked at the solar system, and I said, my gosh, we're part of something much bigger. Our solar system resembles an atom. So if we are composed of atoms, and if and we're this big, if our solar system is an atom, can you only imagine how big the mass of whatever we are part of really is?
Exactly. And the solar system is an atom of a solar system, which is an atom of a greater solar system, which is an atom of a huge galaxy, which is an atom of an even greater galaxy, on and on into infinity.
I also look at the universe, Benjamin, as a pond, and this is how I try to explain to others that we are all interconnected and that what one does affects another. If you take a still pond and you toss a pebble in, you get the ripple effect. And if you toss in another pebble, that ripple effect interacts with the other ripple effect. So whatever anyone does here on this planet, be it good or bad, has a cause and reaction throughout time.
You couldn't put it better. That is the law of karma, the law of cause and effect, the great law governing all life on our planet and everywhere else.
Why is it so hard, in your opinion, Benjamin, for people to get along? Is it because we don't respect each other? Is it because we don't love each other? Is it because we're so self-centered?
It is certainly because we're so self-centered, because we think we are separate. We see people of different color, different language, different religion, different attitudes to life and so on, different traditions, different history, and we think that all of that is a kind of jungle. It's all jungle, and everything's separate, and they're out to kill each other, and very often do. But in fact, most of the people in the world, and there are 6.5 or 6.7 billion people in incarnation right now on Earth, have been in many of the different countries and religions and civilizations of the past, but don't know it, and they don't know the relationship that they have with people that they think are their enemies. They see people in some part of the world, these are our country's the enemy of that country, and we'll always feel badly about those people, and I wouldn't mind taking a gun and shooting as many as I can. But we could have been living in that very same country in our last life. We could be those people. Humanity has spread itself across the world for millions and millions of years. Our paleontologists and so on put down, and anthropologists put down the length of human life on Earth as something around 3 to perhaps 6 millions at the very most. The masters, who are the only people who could know, say humanity is 18.5 million years old and has spread itself across the world. Early animal man, and then more advanced man, and more advanced man. We owe our every kingdom grows out of the kingdom below it. And the first kingdom to be laid down was the mineral kingdom. From the mineral grew the vegetable kingdom. From the vegetable grew the animal kingdom.
Benjamin, I hate to do this, but I must take my commercial break with the news. Please stand by, sir. Exonation, Benjamin Creme is my very special guest, www.share-international.org. A great guest. We'll be back on the other side of this break with the news. Don't go away.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
There's a legend shared by many indigenous cultures of a time when the nations were cast to the four corners of the world. Each nation was given a body of sacred knowledge that held a different portion of the truth to preserve. True reality could not be known until all the nations reunited, combining the information. If a single one was missing, the world could not be reborn and darkness would prevail. The Science of Magic Radio is dedicated to reuniting the sacred knowledge. With the understanding, none of us has all the answers, but together we can open new perceptions and possibilities. Through our combined vision, the world can be reborn into a place where darkness no longer prevails. Join me, Gwilda Wiyaka, and the Science of Magic daily on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, xzbn.net, or visit us at thescienceofmagic.net.
And welcome back, everyone. This is the X-Zone. My name is Rob McConnell. My very special guest this hour is Benjamin Creme. And Benjamin is a British artist and longtime student of esoteric philosophy, has become the principal source of information about the emergence of Maitreya, the world teacher. Born in Glasgow, Scotland in 1922, Benjamin began studying art at an early age, developing into an accomplished painter in the modernist style. He befriended and collaborated with many of the leading figures of the time in British art, music, and literature. His paintings have been exhibited in a number of prestigious galleries. Throughout his early years, Benjamin also studied various aspects of esoteric philosophy, in particular the teachings released in the late 1800s through Helena Blavatsky and the Theosophical Society, and more recently, Alice A. Bailey. Although these teachings led him to believe in the existence of Masters of Wisdom, a group of perfected individuals who are the custodians of the divine plan for the planet, it nevertheless came as a complete surprise to Benjamin when, in 1959, he was actually contacted by one of his masters. Benjamin was told, amongst other things, Exonation, that Maitreya, the world teacher, the master of all masters, would return in about 20 years, and that he, Benjamin, would have a role to play in the event if he chose to accept it. Now, more than a decade later, in 1972, Benjamin began a period of arduous training under his master's direction to prepare him for his coming task, announcing to a skeptical world the emergence of the world teacher, awaited by people of every religion under his various names, the Christ, Messiah, Krishna, and Buddha. Benjamin's constant contact with the Master of Wisdom gives him access to up-to-the-date information on Maitreya's emergence, plus the total conviction needed to present his story. We're very proud and happy to have Benjamin Creme with us this hour in the Exome. His website is www.share-international.org. Benjamin, once again, thank you very much for joining us. A pleasure talking to you, sir.
It's a great pleasure to be on your show.
I'd like to ask you, Benjamin, have we seen the worst of the economic collapse? And if any, what solution would the masters like to suggest to those listening around the world?
Well, we haven't seen the end of the collapse. According to the masters, this is an ongoing thing which will get worse. Not terribly worse, but worse for more people. More people will be affected with it, and worldwide. And it's called the retribution. What is? There's a name for it. The wilderness experience. The masters call it the wilderness experience. It's the experience of humanity many, many times as it's gone on this long journey to perfection. And there's no doubt that one day we will be perfected masters if we take the right decisions now. And the wilderness experience is like when humanity did the wrong thing, or when there was some great natural catastrophe, a great breaking up of the planet, a part of the planet, the raising of great areas and the sinking of others. You know how it has changed over and over and over again throughout the millennia. Humanity has found itself bereft, without maybe enough to eat for long periods of time. They've been decimated by the animal kingdom over thousands of centuries. And each time humanity has come up again, repaired itself, even if there were tiny little groups spread out around the more hospitable parts of the world, while other parts were so dangerous and so uncomfortable that nobody could live there. But gradually, the really ferocious animals like the Tyrannosaurus Rex and so on died out and were replaced by other kind of dinosaurs which were smaller, just as voracious, much faster, and very deadly for humanity. Again, over and over again, humanity survived. So we have the capacity to revive ourselves and to take stock and to build again. We are in that position again. Out of this chaos, in financial chaos, economic chaos, and disjointed, suspicious society, in thinking in terms of international politics. Wars going on, small wars, hopefully could be kept as small wars and not allowed to become big wars. And one of the difficulties is that we know of 9 nations which are known to have the nuclear bomb and therefore could be dangerous and even in a small war. The masters say there are actually 24 nations, not 9, 24 nations which have the nuclear capacity, either under the counter or openly. These 9 are open about it. And he says this is the most dangerous thing for humanity. If these were used in a future war, there would be no life on planet Earth for millions and millions of years. It would become a hostile, deadly desert fraught with danger to life of anybody who tried to live here. And that is the reason why Maitreya and his group have emerged now. They are here to try to steer humanity away from the brink, to make sure that war does not take place on a scale that would threaten total human life, and to show us the way to live together in peace. And as I said earlier, it's so simple. It simply requires that we rethink our relationship and learn to share together the resources of the world. And when we share, we create the conditions of justice and fairness in the world that guarantee, and are the only guarantee of any future peace. He said, without sharing, there'll be no justice. And without justice, there'll be no peace. And without peace, of course, there'll be only annihilation. So it's up to humanity. And though Maitreya and the Masters come to teach us how to do it, they don't come to do it themselves. We have to do it. Maitreya said there will be a great new golden civilization if we make the right choice. But we, humanity, have to make that choice and have to do it willingly, gladly, and accept the principle of sharing, accept that we are brothers and sisters of one humanity. Whatever the differences on the outer plane that we think are there that keep us apart, we are all God's children, as they say. We are all Jock Tamson's bairns, as we say in Scotland. And this is the reality. For the Masters, this is real. This is how they see us. But we don't see ourselves as that. And so, according to one of the Masters, the Tibetan master called Jalkul, who gave the Alice Bailey teachings to the world, in June 1945, immediately after the war, the last great war, Maitreya announced to his disciples, the Masters, that he was prepared to come back into the everyday world, and not alone, but with a largish group of the Masters, about 2/3 of the Masters. And that process, according to my experience, is already underway. In 1975, 5 Masters came into the everyday world, although unrecognized as such. 1 into New York, 1 into London, 1 into Geneva, 1 into Darjeeling, and 1 into Tokyo. And after about a year and a half, 2 more, 1 into Moscow and 1 into Rome. And they were the kind of vanguard of the Masters in the world. Now there are 14 Masters in the world in various cities and parts of the world. And the Master of all the Masters, Maitreya himself, has been in the everyday world since the 19th of July, 1977. That is my personal experience, and that is what I say in every lecture that I give. That's what I put into my books, on the website, and so on. My experience is that Maitreya, the Master of all the Masters, awaited by Christians as the Christ, because he overshadowed the disciple Jesus for 3 years, from the baptism to the crucifixion. Now, Jesus is one of the most advanced Masters in the world now, and is living in Rome. He is the Master in Rome, and is at the head of all the Christian organizations around the world. And his task is, to put it very roughly and bluntly, to rid Christianity of its, how shall I put it, its errors, its excesses, its man-made dogmas and doctrines which cut it off from every other religion. He says, religion is useful. It can help you to get onto the roof. But he doesn't come as a religious teacher. He says, it's like a ladder. It can help you to get onto the roof. But once you're on the roof, you don't need the ladder. You can give it away to somebody else. And so he doesn't come to say Christianity is the best, or Buddhism is the best, and Hinduism is the best. He sees them as all relative to each other and to the inner truth, which is the one truth behind all the religions, which is what I would say is what I call esotericism, the process, the scientific understanding of the process of evolution. That's what the masters are. They are scientists. They know the way of evolution. They say we are souls, divine souls in incarnation. This physical body with its astral emotional body and its mental body is a vehicle for a great being called the soul. And every human being is, not only has, as Christianity puts it and others put it, but is a soul and is therefore identical with the divine. But that divinity can't shine through the dense physical, astral, emotional, physical, and mental physical without an intermediary. The intermediary, the divine intermediary, is the human soul. And that creates through us an evolutionary path incarnating over and over and over again through different bodies until eventually it has given to the succession of different bodies of itself, the divinity of itself, which makes for perfection. With every life which it has, more and more energy of more and more atomic energy of the soul, which is light, is added to the energy of the physical body and the emotional body and the mental body, until gradually atomic structure is transformed into subatomic structure or light. And eventually we become like the masters, simply light. And
Benjamin?
There are 5 great experiences which cover the last few lives of the evolution.
All right,
process.
Benjamin, please stand by. When we come back, we'll talk about that. Exo Nation Benjamin Creme is my special guest. We're talking about the Maitreya this hour. Benjamin's website, www.share-international.org. Benjamin Creme and I will be back on the other side of this commercial break. Don't go away.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
19 Sergeant Central. 19 Sergeant, check. Officers on the scene.
Hi, I'm Larry Lawson, host of Paranormal Stakeout. With over 36 years in law enforcement, I have learned a few things. The most important is the proper gathering and preservation of evidence is vital to putting the bad guy behind bars. It's no different in the world of paranormal investigation. Whether it's the search for the afterlife, cryptozoology, UFOs, and extraterrestrials, how we gather the evidence, preserve that evidence, and present it to a jury of our peers will make the ultimate difference in proving the existence of worlds and entities that are beyond our imagination. Join me, Larry Lawson, every week on Paranormal Stakeout when, along with my guests, we'll take a journey to prove with indisputable evidence what man has struggled to believe for centuries. Go to xzbn.net for the broadcast schedule and check me out at paranormalstakeout.com.
True healing must address 4 levels: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, for us to live joyful and productive lives. We tend to treat 3 of the 4, leaving the spiritual languishing. If you're tired of the same dysfunctional patterns cropping up in your life, Soul Balancing is for you. Trixie Phelps, owner and founder of Soul Balancing, is a naturally gifted energy healer trained in numerous esoteric forms, including shamanism. Trixie has created a powerful modality that safely and effectively clears your energetic field. A Soul Balancing session can remove interference, heal trauma, and restore your hope. Contact Trixie for a life-changing long-distance session today, www.soulbalancing.world.
Exonation, my very special guest this hour is Benjamin Creme. We've been talking about the Maitreya. Benjamin's website is www.share-international.org. And first of all, Benjamin, I want to thank you ever so much for joining us. It's been a delightful hour with you. But I'd like to ask you something. Is it possible that when Maitreya makes himself known on the day of declaration, that people will point to him and claim that he is the Antichrist?
Oh, for sure. Many will. He said, many will see me as their guide. Many will know me not. And that's so in the beginning. But there are enough people in the world who are already responding to Maitreya, or the ideas set into the world by Maitreya, because they don't know who Maitreya is. He speaks from his heart to the hearts of all humanity, and on every plane, his thoughts and ideas are transforming the world. And the breakdown in the world is a breakdown of our rotten structures, political, economic, in some ways religious and social. And these are preventing the creation of an entirely new kind of civilization. And Maitreya and the masters work with, and this is the extraordinary thing, what we take as UFOs, people call them aliens, are our brothers and sisters on our fellow sister planets of our own system. We have been told by our scientists that there is no life on Mars, no life on Venus, it would be impossible to go to Jupiter, and so on. It's because they don't know the extent, the full extent of the physical aspect of reality. The dense physical, they say, is solid physical, liquid physical, and gas. And above that, they know nothing. They don't have the technology to measure the physical above gas, but which is still physical. The masters and all the students of the masters know that there are 7 levels of, not 3 levels, but 7 levels of physical. Solid, liquid, and gaseous, and then the 4th etheric, the 3rd, the 2nd, and the 1st etheric. And it's on these 4 finer levels of the physical that the people in our sister planets live. If you went to Mars, you would see nothing. But if you were a Martian, you would see and work as they do. They would see you, but you can't see them because unless you had etheric vision.
All right, Benjamin, we've run out of time for tonight, unfortunately. Please come back and visit us again soon. It's been a great pleasure talking to you, and I wish you much happiness, much joy, and I look forward to the next time you and I meet here in the X Zone.
Well, thank you very much. If you would like to set up a time, I'll see if I can fit in with you.
All right, thank you very much, sir.
X
Zone Nation, Benjamin Creme has been my guest this hour. www.share-international.org. I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break with the news as the X Zone continues from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. My name is Rob McConnell. Don't go